are doing a movie cage match.
With Nicolas Cage, Duncan.
No, Nicolas Cage isn't here. But Joseph and myself will be debating the best film trilogy
Our favorite film
of
trilogy.
all time. Well, of course there are favorites, but it's which one's better.
Okay, because you always want to be the greatest trilogy of all time, though.
Well, that's the argument. What's the best film trilogy? That is specific words. What is a better
The one
film
I picked.
trilogy?
In Joe and Dallas's opinion, they are now going to tell you what they think their best trilogy in film is.
I, of course, chose Captain America.
What? I thought you said you were picking Jurassic Park.
No, I dialed.
And I picked Back to the Future.
Thank God you did that. They wouldn't know.
Hey, you.
And Sam is now the moderator, so shut your mouth or else you're going to lose points.
And to be honest, though, this works out because we're going to be having a debate soon, an election debate, and so we're doing ours.
It's a big one. It's been 4 years.
Because this one's actually more important than the election one. Trust
It is
me.
actually.
We're about to find out if Donald Trump actually eats Cheetos with his face.
I want to see proof.
See what you did there. Are you guys ready for question number one?
Been waiting this whole time.
Because we're just going to jump right into this shit.
Oh, shit. Ding,
yeah,
ding.
we're going to, look at them. They're not even ready.
I'm ready enough.
Yeah, you ready enough?
Yes.
You ready for question numero uno?
Where's my horn? Yes, I'm ready.
I fucking hid that shit.
She hit it.
Oh,
Where-
yeah.
I put it on the table.
Where did I hide it? Well, it wouldn't be hidden if I fucking hid it.
I want it back.
You'll have it back at the end. All right. Question number one. It does go to both of you. Dallas, since you're closest to me, I'd say you go first. Question is, both of these movies have a lot of action in them. I want you to tell me at what point, what scene holds close to you and makes you think that it's pivotal to be a 1, 2, and 3 because of these scenes.
So this would be pretty much based on the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
Well, can you restate the question? That is not necessarily relevant. I just want to hear the question again to make sure I answer it correctly, please.
Well, basically, like I said, it's like what scenes from the movie that just really make you go, holy shit, this is a 1, 2, 3, step 1, 2, 3, I gotta watch it, you know?
Okay,
like what point, maybe during the first movie, maybe during the second movie?
I will say it's actually during the second movie that made me realize that this is going to be a good trilogy because it's showing a good arc of the character Captain America. When he fought Bucky and he didn't know who he was in the street, that the whole weird, crazy knife flipping and stuff like that, and then his mask accidentally comes off and he realizes he's been fighting someone he considered his best friend before he woke up. So that's the point where I realized, hey, this is actually building a really good, nice story arc.
Okay. They were getting a little bit more personal.
Mm-hmm.
You like the personality. Yeah, okay.
Yes, personal story.
Personability. Very good. Joe, same question.
Same question. What made me think that it would be a great trilogy?
Yeah, at what point
First of all, you
wowed
watch the first movie. It's the reason why people go to movies to begin with, Back to the Future, things like that. There was not really one part. I mean, it's pretty much the whole thing with time travel and all the different possibilities that you could have with that. But for instance, right away, that movie was a classic. Even the first time you see it, even with the scenes with the ongoing things, with the manure truck, them chasing him on the skateboard, and then in the future he's on a hovercraft or a hoverboard. It was the whole movie as a whole. You just knew right away that was going to be. But if there was one part that I could pick, I really think it would just be his connection with Doc Brown. That is something that people wanted to see go on because they were great together. And without them, there'd be no Rick and Morty technically either.
I know you were holding in there for that one. That was a very big shot to throw, and I liked it because
if only Rick and Morty was as good. Ooh.
You just lost 20 points for that.
If you vote for this man, he's gonna get rid of single family homes.
All right. So both your movies have to do with time travel.
And somewhat.
Somewhat, sort of.
Somewhat. Yeah, your guy's frozen,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I'm thinking, first movie it shows him doing his thing, then he gets frozen, then the second movie, because I haven't seen all the Captain Americas.
Let it go.
Yes.
So is it the second movie that he comes back and he's like, here I am in the now?
It's actually at the very end of the first movie. He sacrifices himself, and then he's put in a position, and it's a very good sequence where he is in a hospital room, but he doesn't realize where he is. But he hears a radio program, and I believe it's a Cubs game. And he's like, hold on a second. There's a nurse coming in dressed like she's from the 40s or whenever it is, pretending like he's still from that time. And he's like, where am I really? I know, I was actually at this game. So he busts out of there, and then it turns to him being in like New York City,
like Times Square or something.
I remember that scene where he runs out into the street. Okay, yes, I do remember the end of it. I did watch the first one, even though I hate you.
Yeah.
I hate that movie. No, okay.
So again,
So again, the movies all have to do with some form of time travel in a way or another. Why does your movie handle it better?
My movies, the trilogy itself, is based around the fact that Captain America himself, he's literally called a man out of time. He was born in one time period with certain ideals, and those ideals don't work with current day, and that compounds and trickles over into the other movies. That's basically what it is.
His persona and how he perceives things, he still keeps very much that.
But he doesn't, and that's why it's a good trilogy. It changes throughout the films. He changes. He stays with his morals, but as the world has changed, he somewhat has to change. He believes that the government is good and you're supposed to support them, but then in the second movie, as Hydra has infiltrated the government, it's like, I can't back the government like I did. And then in the third movie, there's even internal fighting, so he goes off and does his own thing. So he sticks to his own morals, but he does change because he doesn't follow the same ideals of being the all-American man.
Well, because he's the individual.
Yes, and that's sticking with his ideals. Other than where everyone else tries to do things for necessarily for the total good, he sticks to his personal morals because he believes those are right. That's what I would say.
All right. Now, Joey, your character is mainly a 80s character on crack. Everything he does personifies the 80s. It is in pop culture today. Everybody knows Marty McFly. They use him in jokes. They use him in everything.
It's almost like it's really an iconic 80s movie, yeah.
It really was.
It is.
Now, how would you say he did faring with the future and the past as far as trying to conform into that?
There wasn't a scene in there where he really had to conform too much, except it showed him where he had, when he first arrived in 1955, it looked like he was wearing a life preserver, and that was actually stylish for the 80s. You know, and it was stuff like that. It really didn't go too much into him trying to fit in because he did kind of a terrible job at it. He was only there for a day.
He did do a terrible job.
He was only there for a day.
I wouldn't admit that. He did a horrible job at it.
Well, yeah, I mean, here it is, this young teenager from the 80s, and all of a sudden he's in the 1950s. But it did show one thing, too. He wasn't scared of Biff. He wasn't scared of all that. You know, it wasn't like in the 50s, there was always that thing with bullies where everyone was afraid of bullies. And he's from the 80s where, you know, he stood up for it. And the weirdest part, he had to deal with his mom, who had a crush on him. The movie was amazing. It was a lot better than Captain America 2, which is pretty much about a frozen fish stick who has to learn how to talk again.
Jesus Christ.
This would not be a debate without throwing in shots.
You have to throw in shots.
And it actually hurts me saying that because I like the movie. But
the supporting cast that was in that, would you say, because this weighs heavily on how I'm going to especially see how you did, would you say that the supporting cast did better or not so good?
The supporting cast is what made Back to the Future go on. You have Christopher Lloyd. You have the guy who played Biff. Forgot his real name, Thomas something. You had George McFly. You had Leah Thompson. Everyone in there, that was a career maker for them, and they all went. That movie, if it had one less cast member, it wouldn't have been probably as iconic. But every character in that, people still mimic to this day. Or
so
they
you're
copy.
saying that everybody in the movie made the movie except for the star?
No. Michael J. Fox was the best pick for Marty McFly. He really was, especially for the 80s. He had captured that really good. He reminds me of Tom Holland in the first Spider-Man, which Tom Holland did kind of mimic.
Because you said that, So basically, opposite. Your character, it's based, like Joe said, all around him. How would you think he did in helping these characters? Like, he pretty much held everybody else. He had to give them a story. He had to basically push them along to give them, purpose for what was going on. How do you think that did? Because I know there was older and younger people that appeared, obviously in order for it to have relevancy to him and everything. So how do you think they did with knowing that Chris Evans was probably the best fucking character in that?
Well, first to dispute what he said about his movie, I will 100% admit all the actors are great. It's really hard to knock any of the acting in any of the Back to the Future movies, but it's literally the same movie over and over and over and over. All the characters don't help carry this. They do help carry the story, but it's essentially the same story over and over. Like the actor who did played Biff, I can't remember his name either. He's a really great actor, but it's the same guy being the same villain, and it's the same story.
But
it's just another setting.
Now that you said that, the fact that a trilogy can carry the same bad guy every single movie,
and they show him when he's old. They show him as Griff, which was awesome as Griff.
I'm not saying anything wrong about that. He did great as Griff, yes.
Griff?
But it was in the second one.
He was a nephew that he was part like Andrew or whatever. He had that.
Oh, yes.
And that's another thing.
And then what's his name? Tannen.
Yeah.
Mad Dog Tannen
in the third one. Yeah. And he did a good job as Mad Dog too.
Amazing as Mad Dog Tannen.
He probably is one of like the best bad guys without superpowers. Honestly, like even Dallas is over here nodding his head.
He was a great villain. He was a great villain.
He was the best part about the third movie.
It probably is really hard for him to play any other role than a bad guy, and that role in particular, like that big duncy, you know what I mean? Like they really did a good job, but sometimes that can hurt an actor's career when you do that. Do you think? This is leading me into my next question. Do you think the main characters being Chris Evans and being Michael J. Fox, do you think that these movies in any way, shape, or form like hurt their career?
No, because Michael J. Fox had a lot of good movies. He did Casualties of War with Sean Penn, which was amazing. The Vietnam movie.
No one knows that. There's a giant bug trying to eat us.
He did The Hard Way. He did Doc Hollywood. He did supporting roles.
Get my hair.
Michael J. Fox and Chris Evans have one thing there. They were always the characters that people just automatically loved. You know what I mean? They're just likable people. They really are, and I'll give them both
Very much so. That's definitely why I was asking this question as to why. Because both actors appeared in things before, and they both appeared in things after.
Yes.
Now, okay. So can you give me a movie that Chris Evans either did before or after that would have given him enough praise to be this role?
I can't. I'm horrible. I believe the name of the movie was The Gift. It was a very good movie that he did before, and I will even say afterwards that was just maybe a year ago. Knives Out. He did amazing, got the role, and it's very different from the Captain America role, the super American.
That's what I'm looking
person.
for. I'm looking for diversity. I'm looking for give me another role where yes, we're talking about the movies, but we're talking about the people that made these movies.
Yes,
you know, the synonymous faces with these movies. You can even say, because I love Christopher Lloyd. Yeah. You can even say another movie that Christopher Lloyd did.
Dennis the Menace, he was great in.
Dude, any movie Christopher
Lloyd did, but he had such a big career with big movies before that, with TV shows. Taxi.
Captain America put a banana in his butt.
And whipped cream all over his sexy ass body.
Michael J. Fox has been pretending he has Parkinson's for the past 20 years. No, I'm kidding. No, but with Michael J. Fox, though, after he did that, he did The Secret of My Success, which is a big book, big movie, big play, everything. He did that. A lot of people don't know that, but he knocked it out of the park. But his next big movie, then he had Back to the Future 2 and 3. He had to do at the same time. He had to film both. But the thing is, after that, he got Parkinson's. So after that, his career was stopped short, where he was starting to do 3 movies a year because the doctor goes, you got 10 years you could act. And he did Doc Hollywood. Yeah. He did The Hard Way, which I love, with James Woods. That was great, where he's a cocky actor that has to follow a cop around.
I'd take James Woods in small doses because I have to pause it and get up from the TV and tell him to go fuck himself every now and again.
He's such a good dick.
Such a good dick.
He was great in all the movies, but the first one I was like, okay, I'll give it to you. But the second movie came up, I was like, this dude is not a high school student in any way, shape, or form. He's way too old to be in high school.
They waited too many years.
Yeah. They did.
But granted, though, it worked, though.
Why?
They did a good job with the remaking of scenes,
all right, we've talked about all the good about these movies. Tell me why we need to not necessarily overlook, but tell me why we need to look at the bad guys in these movies and really respect that aspect of it. Because honestly, for Captain America, the only one that I've seen that I remember, that I recall, that even maybe kids will now remember is like Red Skull.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not even really like a big bad guy. I mean, he is in the Captain America sense of things because it's Hydra. It connects with the Nazis. It connects with this. You know what I mean? But how come he's not really brought back up?
Red Skull looked better in Endgame, but it was a time thing. It was a timing thing.
Did he kill Red Skull in the first or second movie? Or
no,
the third?
he grabbed the Tesseract and then he got beamed out and just disappeared.
Oh, so he got made into the guy that...
Yes.
Okay, so he never really died. So wait a minute.
No.
Red Skull was like a super badass and like super, like, fuck you guys, and now he's like, come walk with me on this path.
He's been relegated to sit here and he can't go anywhere. That's his, like...
I know, but it's just weird how his whole, like...
persona has changed.
Like, has completely changed just because, you know what I mean? I mean, I would still be like a fucking Nazi dick. I'd be like, you're not white.
Well,
What's your last name?
What can he do? He's sitting here on this planet,
solitary
not seeing anyone whatsoever.
What planet was it, by the way? Extra points for who knows it.
I can't remember.
Planet Johan.
No, it's not.
No, the planet that they go to find the Soul Stone.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Come on.
I can't remember.
How do you know it?
It's not nowhere.
No, it's not nowhere. Give me the first letter, if you do know it.
Z.
I think it's V.
Vormir.
Yes.
It is Vormir. Yes,
I was right.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Vormir. I knew if I had the first letter, I'd
You're a Marvel fan.
Look at me.
I'll give it to you that.
When's the last time you saw Captain America, the first one?
What year is it?
You sure you watched them?
You're making a whole bunch of different arguments that aren't even answering the question half the time.
Yeah.
But
tell me why your villain in your movie is so amazing and relevant and should be.
Didn't we just talk about Biff?
It's the same villain over and over.
It's the same villain over and over, and he literally does the same things. He makes fun. He gets
a bully.
manure on him.
He's a bully or he's a piece of shit. Yeah.
He's okay. So he personifies every.
It is, but it was great seeing him.
That old. A little guy like Marty McFly wants to stand up to. You know
the whole thing is.
I'm trying to help you here, dude.
That was a great part about the movie. They didn't need a different villain for each one. That one stuck with that same story and a timeline, getting screwed up, and that's pretty much what they did. And by the way, just for the record, I mean the movie even gets referenced in Endgame.
Yeah, it does.
When they do the time travel, even in Ant-Man.
It got referenced in a lot of movies. It got referenced in that Steven Spielberg movie. What was it? Ready Player One.
It was technically a Spielberg movie also.
But so did The Shining. So.
Ready Player One was great. But
Stephen King got referenced in a lot of Marvel
Biff, how is relevant? There's always going to be a guy like Biff. There will always be a guy like Biff. It's just a standard bully. That's really all it is. He just did a good job at it. You know, Captain America, they were able to have Bucky, and with Captain America, they were able to have.
They made a lot of resolution with their bad guys because of the type.
And that movie had to tie into all the other movies.
Yeah, the difference is the Back to the Future trilogy is technically, I will say, the same story, just being told over and over with the same villain. But why I think Captain America is a better trilogy, it's different villains and they're all personal to him. How he is fighting for America, and then in the second film, he's fighting. He finds that America is faltered, and that he's fighting against them, and he's even fighting against his best friend, who was the villain. And then in the third film, his own team are the villains. He has a discord against them. It's a civil war against each other. Iron Man's technically the villain in his eyes, not including Helmut Zemo, who's the person who's behind it all, but he is also a villain.
Well, so if what you're saying is true,
it is.
So basically, Joe's movies deal with fate.
Yeah.
They deal with the idea of no matter what you do, you're gonna put yourself in the ways of fate. Your movie is more about defying that.
Well, I look at it this way.
Sort of, yes.
Because he's doing it as a choice. He's literally getting into a time machine. Your guy didn't have a choice, and now he's trying to make the best of what he has in front of him. Mm-hmm. So, And that's what I kind of like about these two movies kind of going against each other, because it's one that's more of like a black and white version of how like time travel, what's it going to be, and it's going to be great. And this is, the fact that he can come back.
But the one thing I have to say that when it goes trilogy versus trilogy, the Back to the Future versus Captain America, it's around Back to the Future is around the same people constantly. This movie had to blend in with the whole Marvel universe. So Captain America Civil War, love that movie, but it's really technically in a way just an Avengers movie in a lot of ways. Minus Thor and Hulk, but you have Spider-Man, Ant-Man, everybody.
You have way more characters that they brought in because of that movie too, though. You have to look at that.
Oh no,
I actually did see Civil War.
Yeah. He's a superhero. His story isn't just going to contain
himself. Civil War reintroduced Black Panther. It reintroduced, Bucky
Spider-Man.
And explaining where he's been.
Oh, definitely. Phenomenal movie.
It introduced Spider-Man. It introduced Ant-Man into, like, the whole multiverse. I'm really pissed off because what I would have wanted after that is them to explore more on universes and not just go with. But they had to explain the end game. I know they are. I like the animation more. Like Joe said, though, a lot of what Back to the Future did, though, is, I mean, dude, that movie is synonymous with so many pop culture references. It literally spawned a show called Rick and Morty. It's so, like, that show inspired, or that movie, those movies inspired a show that's literally on its 5th season.
Well, yeah, and
it's a product of its time.
And yours is more the opposite. Like, comic books inspired a whole generation of all these movies.
Similar. If the Captain America trilogy came out in the 80s, the same thing would have happened. You know how many? The time is different.
They tried.
Oh, 70s, I think 78.
Yeah, they tried.
And Spider-Man back then too.
I remember that was terrible.
It was horrible.
It's a really hard medium to cross over.
It's hard to do something. Okay, let's put it this way. They had the bare minimum too for Back to the Future. Like, if you've ever been on the Back to the Future ride, that's literally how the movie was.
It is.
Like,
it was
that's
great.
literally what they did.
And they had Biff in that. Yeah, Biff was the only guy that was on that.
Yes, and he actually did the voice for it.
No, there was a video of him on the Back to the Future ride where it was him. He steals it, and you had to go after him, and it was great.
Did you guys get to ride the Back to the Future ride? You guys
a long time ago.
Yeah.
It was so much fun.
It really threw you around, though. It really threw you around.
It's the Simpson ride. No, it did.
You got injured after that. Yeah.
I mean,
that's how Joe threw his back out.
Exactly. I recreated it at home.
Both movies have spawned rides, have inspired T-shirts, have inspired shoes, like everything. Like, even the shoes Marty McFly wore got brought back
Nikes,
like a few years ago.
Power laces.
The stupid ones where you puff them up and shit. Like, yeah, exactly.
Well, what I
but that's just a cash grab, really.
I'm saying both things are iconic in a way, but I want you guys to give me your final speech.
Well, real quick, I'd say no matter what this is, has been, no matter
beer, then, you
no matter what way you go with this,
Samantha, can I have one?
Both trilogies are fucking amazing, and it's really hard you can't compare them both at all. You can't. 20 years from now, I know, you're going to be here. 20 years from now, people are still going to be quoting Back to the Future more than they would the Captain America movie. So if it goes iconic, it would go to that. I want to give it to Captain America. There was a lot better shooting scenes.
You can't compare those two things aren't the same. It came out at a different time when people who quote things are at a different age. Captain America trilogy will be more in memes for the longest time than Back to the Future ever would or would be. And
Robert Zemeckis won't let no one touch it, or Steven Spielberg.
No. I'm not talking about redoing it. I'm talking about, yes, it will be referenced more because it's an older movie and it's had more time to grow. But as for right now, the Captain America trilogy and quotes and things of that nature are more current and more referenced in like memes and social media.
Oh yeah, I'll give you that. I'll give you that
now
one.
Now that Captain America has solidified himself into basically opting out, like Chris Evans, the character Captain America, like his character of Captain America was retired pretty much on film. I think now it will be more just because there was a definite end. I feel like people are more. They come more with closure.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's
like not a definite end. There could always be time travel to go back to do it. It's like the way people make
macabre jokes when somebody dies.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's the same kind of like ideals is what I'm saying, is that his legacy on that has ended.
I will even say that Captain America, Chris Evans is a better Captain America than...
Chris Evans is the best Captain America.
He is Captain America.
Technically, I'm nothing against him, but really anyone could have played Marty McFly.
They had to fire that other guy because
it was a very generic, hokey time for movies, and anyone could really do that.
They couldn't have.
Not anyone, but
they filmed for a while.
They couldn't have got. They couldn't have got.
They fired the first guy.
They couldn't have got the right expressions
because he sucks.
No, but he does suck. But they couldn't have got the. No, because
Marty
I feel
McFly
like
is Tom Holland.
the expressions, because because Michael J. Fox was very good at like how he moved his face.
Yes.
Chris Evans is not.
But that's
Chris
not
Evans
his character.
has a beautiful face. That's
not
why
his character,
he doesn't
though.
move it around much. But
that's not his character.
I understand, but Michael J. Fox can do that.
No,
and that's something to be
The thing is, too, they wanted in the beginning.
It depends on your acting style.
They wanted the beginning with Michael J. Fox. I get what you're saying. But Michael J. Fox, Robert Zemeckis, Steven Spielberg, they wanted him in the beginning, but he had that big show, Family Ties. That was one of the biggest shows in the 80s. And they wanted him. And but
you're going to lose this just because you're stupid sometimes.
No, because I annoyed you because I didn't give you that ashtray. It was for you to grab it yourself, okay? Because COVID.
I'll just say this.
I will say
Chris Evans embodies that character better.
Oh, he's exactly what you would want.
He embodies the character better.
No other 80s person would have knocked it out of the park like Michael J. Fox around that time. They wouldn't have, because he had that quirky thing about him. Kind of like, again.
You don't think Christian Slater could have did that?
No, Christian Slater was shit.
Totally
Johnny Depp could have done it.
He could have did it.
Yeah, but the thing is, they wanted someone that didn't have that brave side of them whatsoever. Tom Holland, I could see Tom Holland being Marty McFly. I could see Tom Holland being Marty McFly.
I totally could see him doing it.
And he even said that's what he, again, that's kind of what he used to be Peter Parker.
But that also plays into how Tom Holland's facial expressions are more emotional.
Marty McFly was more animated than anybody,
that's
which is
perfect.
perfect.
That's what I'm saying is when you're animated, the audience can read your face. Like, you have to understand, people need to, like, look at old movies back before there was actual, like, speech. They need to, like, be able to emote before there's words. And that's what Michael J. Fox did very fucking well.
And the thing is, every other young person they even did too, they wanted to give him
cheesy, though.
They kind of wanted to give,
it depends on how you do it.
But when you watch
the
extra scenes, the directors and everything, everyone that they were casting, that were trying to cast, everyone was trying to bring that tough '80s kid thing. He just came in there just being the kid who, when he'd see something, he'd do little quick turnarounds. He was the only one who had that was what Marty McFly was supposed to be.
All right, I'm gonna ask Dallas. A question about a character, not the main character, about your movie. And I'm going to ask you about a main character of him that's not Chris Evans, about his movie. In regards to who played Marty McFly's dad in that movie, what can you say about him that would completely denounce, because I'm picking a character that's really strong in these movies, by the way.
He's really
he's a strong fucking character.
Great.
Like, I honestly thought he was old until I saw, like, and remember, you have to remember, I'm very little watching these movies, so when I was little and I watched him as the young version of him, I thought that was a completely different actor.
And he would have been in 2 and 3 if he wasn't such a weirdo, though. That's the only thing.
Oh, really? Is that...
But what happened is he decided he didn't want to do the movie anymore.
Joe just want to tell you a history.
Yeah, no. But
it's relevant.
So, Dallas, can you tell me something that has nothing to do with the offset that might discredit this actor in a way to where he really, where we're saying other people can kind of play his role? Like, give me something. Give me something.
I'll twist it a little bit. I can't. He did great at the role, but it is a very one-note role. It's just a very cowardly person who's afraid of this big bad Biff person, and he has no power to do anything himself. That's all he is. It's a very one-note character. Anyone could really do it. He did great at it. I would wish he was in the third one. It would have given a little bit more difference. But
in the second,
he was in the second.
He was in the second.
He was in the second. That was an actor. You hear him talk about it. They showed clips of him from the first movie,
him?
And then the guy that was upside down. That wasn't him. That was an actor. I know he was mad about it. And the reason why he didn't do anymore is he didn't like.
That wasn't him in the car with his mom in the second one at the dance and everything.
Marty McFly. That was
his father.
They showed old clips.
They showed old clips.
But some clips you didn't. Some clips weren't in it.
No, but it wasn't him filming in 1990. Those were clips from him from the 80s.
So they just used old footage in the second
he
film.
wouldn't do it because he hated that
part where he punches him.
In an interview, he said he didn't do it
it's even lamer
because he said he hated the ending of the first one because why did the family get better?
So what Dallas is trying to say is that his lack of being in the second and third one being like maybe this more meek character and helping you bring some of the, you know what I mean, the awe factor.
Oh, everyone
to
wished
it.
she was back.
All right, now that being said, let's see. How do you feel about Bucky?
Bucky? Oh, he was great. He was perfect in that role.
Of course he was. Sebastian Stan.
I liked everything.
So you're going to tell me that
Bucky.
they had long hair back then?
What do you mean? In the 50s, he had a short hair army cut. I'm sorry, in the 40s for World War II, he had a short haircut.
So how come he deviated so far from that? So the long hair proved that he was
You
under
haven't
mind
watched
control?
the movies, have you?
No, because he was like under some kind of something, right?
It was long hair and messy. He was a little out there.
How did he get saved from? Did he get frozen too?
Technically, yes, but he fell from a train and was taken. And
When he was still good?
Yes, and then was brainwashed and things like that. And
Now
put
the
into this
now the
program.
chances
So now they made him grow his hair long, and that's what
now
made him.
it's great for the story,
Your hair's
but
so gross when you're
the
frozen.
chances are you do an experiment on Captain America, this little tiny body, which was awesome, and then he becomes big, and then it just so happens that his best friend Bucky goes through the same kind of experiment also.
Oh, he was little too?
No, he wasn't. He was a normal guy, but they gave him powers.
It's not the same.
What happened to his arm?
He was born that way.
What happened to his arm?
It got hurt while he was fighting. Not Red Skull himself, but other people.
They don't show it though.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So they just okay. Bucky's more of that assumed character, so we're just gonna.
Sort of. Well, a lot of it's because no one knew that he was even alive, and that he's been frozen and brought back up to kill people all throughout time.
But he was perfect for it. He was perfect. I mean, I couldn't see anybody else in the way now playing Bucky.
Now,
and
what
I like
about-
what they did with the development of his story, where first he's a bad guy everyone hated, then you start understanding and you love the character. That's awesome when you can do that with a character.
Well, what about okay? So now we have the more loving character, the woman character, the. I mean, I know that Captain America has a love interest, but I know that she isn't in it.
Oh, because she's 90 years old or whatever.
Right, and I
It'd been
understand
gross if they were
that. But you have Marty McFly's mother, who also plays an older character,
And tries to bang him for some
and
strange
she,
reason.
I mean, she's fucking hot. Like I
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
her. She's fucking great.
Mhm.
And she wants to
Who
bang
do you
her
think is
son.
hotter?
Oh, Leah Thompson when she was younger compared to the person that
Because
he's
her
in love
boobs are
with.
bigger.
Oh, her face.
Her boobs aren't
Really?
bigger.
Her boobs are huge.
I can't remember her name right now, and it's killing me.
Yeah, I can see her in my head. I wouldn't say she's the hottest, but she had the perfect 1940s face. She
I'm
had
so
a
mad right now. I can't remember her name. But
she-
the lady who plays Peggy Carter, her boobs are totally bigger.
Isn't she the one in Mad Men?
Yes, I believe she was.
I don't know.
No,
Yeah.
she
Yeah,
was. No,
she's
wait.
got-
Was
That's
she
the
in Mad Men?
redhead.
I've never seen.
I think she might be too young
No,
for that.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
But they're about the same size, probably.
Holy
A little
shit.
bit smaller.
So you're gonna say that the chick from
I'm a face
Captain
person.
America,
Right?
you're a face person.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, everybody's a face person.
Yeah.
If you really, you know what I mean. Go
Face
to
is the most
shallow end
important
of-
thing. If I got to go around and drag you around places, I don't want people to be like, "Ew,
Peggy-
what's she?" $1 million
Carter.
body.
The character's name.
I don't want a
Peggy.
$1 million body and a 10-cent face.
I think she has striking features, but they both have the same kind of hairstyle going on in the first one. You know what I mean? It was 50s and 40s. So
yeah.
it really
Elizabeth Shue is hotter than both of them.
It's
And his
personal
first girlfriend
preference,
Jennifer. His first girlfriend Jennifer.
who
I don't think
literally
she-
does nothing in any
But
of
it's
the
the same.
films
It's the same thing though. I don't think Leah Thompson. I thought she was too tall for Michael J. Fox.
because he's tiny.
Yeah, I think that looks weird. Like Tom Holland and Zendaya. I don't think they match at all.
What movie do you think had better setting and wardrobe?
I will say the first one, because it changes from the 40s and 50s
You
to
think
current
they did
day.
it? You think they did it?
I'm not a dress historian or anything,
You need to
but-
be.
but
This
they
is very important for
it-
movies that deal with time travel.
it is. I
Did
will
you see any like bums and what they were wearing?
I don't know if I saw.
You're taking the
bumps.
piss now.
It usually took place. Well, it did take place in the streets, but I thought the clothing, the color palette of the film, how it changed from the time period in the 50s, and when it switched to modern day, it totally changed the look and aesthetic of the film.
I feel like they cleaned both movies up a lot. I don't know where did Back to the Future take place? Because
Hill Valley. It's a made-up place. Same place they use Gremlins.
I know, but like what?
Same place. The same town they filmed Gremlins.
What
He tried to
state?
use a Stephen King.
It's a
thing?
back lot.
Oh, good
Yeah.
for
No, it's a
him.
back lot. It's a back lot.
Yeah.
Well, Hill Valley is in what state?
California.
That's what she was asking.
Yeah, and where was Captain
New York.
America? Okay, so 2 places that have heavy fucking like homeless shit happening. They kept it very clean, don't you think?
Well,
This is a whole other thing that I'm just
okay.
bringing
Well,
up.
I don't know if they kept it clean. Maybe it's just because of the places they were, but it did totally show the streets and dirt and like back alleys and things like that. But they didn't keep it clean. I'll say it did show crazy things like Ferris wheels and things like that.
Ferris wheels.
Yeah, well, it shows
That's crazy.
it shows the time period and things like that. How it was this new bright,
I see what you're saying.
crazy thing.
Okay, because the World Fair that happened in 1890 though.
Well, there was multiple World Fairs,
Correct.
and
I'm thinking of the one where H.G. Wells killed everybody. My bad.
well, but they had a similar thing like the Stark Expo, which is a similar thing to it.
Basically, what I'm saying is they really try to keep
They made
time
it,
periods.
yes,
You know what I mean?
the clothing and everything, the suits with high-watered suits and things like that. Yeah.
I feel like, I mean, no offense, Joe, but I feel like, it's by chocolate. I touched my kid.
Ew. Lick it.
I might like it. I'm scared. It's chocolate.
So what were you gonna say?
You love chocolate.
No, what
Sam.
I'm saying for Back to the Future, I feel like they really kind of kept it very much, this is our town and this is what we're going to deal with, and they really didn't let anything outside in except maybe like the sporting games when they were talking about it in the second one, like make any kind of effect to it. It was nice to see Captain America having some outside influences, as where Hill Valley was more of a fucking under the dome shit, in my opinion. And
That movie didn't need to go elsewhere. You know what I mean? Everything revolved around that same
couldn't
time.
because that was the story. It was the same thing 3 times.
You could say it's
The same time, right here, right now, in the future.
It would show
right
the
here,
future,
right now, in the past.
but it was pretty much around that town, Hill Valley, that everybody fell in love with. You know what I mean? They just gave them more of that. It's 80s. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is very.
It's
80s.
different. I mean, the movie would be ruined now if they did that. I think they would totally fuck it up because they add woke
I feel
stuff.
like
They would have made them woke.
I feel like if they broadened it more, like how they did Ready Player One, they kind of like Steven Spielberg is very big on changing his dynamic every time he does something, but he still I didn't even know that Gremlins was filmed in Hill Valley, the same thing. That was actually kind of nice to hear. So he kept with the same aesthetic.
Mhm.
This is our cute little town. This is where we all live. You know what I mean? Which that's kind of cool. I do appreciate that. But I think if anybody were to take these movies on, either of them,
It's amazing.
they would have to completely do the opposite of what they both did to your movie.
But the thing that was amazing with Hill Valley is it was fun seeing what it would look like in the future. And when you asked him that question about ensemble, I would think with the dressing, I think Back to the Future 2 is pretty cool.
Even though your movies are more iconic just because they were from a different time, and it was like, but when blockbusters were,
And the movie was
first
based
a
around
thing,
that. Yeah.
It would be easier to redo it because it's
but
it's a simpler story.
But they would make it where the kid is in the future,
That was
in the
going to be my
past.
next question.
But that would be
it's a simpler story.
But they did it now, it would suck because he would go back in time. The kid would be woke and be like, "Well, that's offensive."
You will realize how dumb the stories are. That's what it is. You would realize how lame it is.
I thought the movie
it's the same thing over
wasn't
and over.
lame at all.
Yeah.
Like even rewatching it.
But
is
that's what
lame,
I'm
but
basically
it's-
saying is
yeah.
like they wouldn't be able to take exactly what you did. Like they wouldn't have a Biff character for each one. Like that would have to be completely
Do
stricken.
you think young Robert Downey could have been a good Marty McFly?
Fuck yeah.
Yes,
He
he
would've
definitely could have.
I don't think he would have been
Yeah.
better than Michael J. Fox though, because he had a little bit of that dick side to him.
Who
He was
else
always a
do
dick.
you think could have played Captain America? I know that we've
Christian
done this.
Slater.
Well, in the current day,
See,
that's really, really hard.
I couldn't even answer that.
I can't think of anyone because it's so embodied with how Chris Evans emotes that character. The only person, and it's kind of too much on the nose, I believe the actor who plays Homelander, he's a very diverse actor.
Very
I
much
could
so.
see him doing that and showing, because Chris Evans is, and it's more Captain America, how he's more
Now
reserved.
that you've seen him in
with
the
his-
outfit.
Yes,
mhm.
he's more reserved even when he's angry. I don't know the actor's name, and I don't even think he's American. I think he's European. He's British or something.
He's Swedish.
Yeah.
Something star.
Yeah. He could do
I
that.
just want to say
but
Swedish.
It,
He's
it
probably not.
show a little more anger.
think he's
It would be a
Australian.
different Captain America, but
Okay.
it would still be a very good Captain America.
I think I like the way that you're going with more of a dark sense of
Yes.
things. I think they should maybe even trickle into a little bit what DC kind of is synonymous for, is more of a dark
But see,
way to look at things.
Mhm.
No, but
Chris
you can,
Evans
but
was
it
so
goes
good, though, it's so
against
hard
of
to say
what
because
Captain
he-
America is himself, and that's what's
it
hard.
does,
But
but I
Captain
feel
America
like he
always
could,
had that. To me, he was always, even before Chris Evans, he was just, he had that 1950s look, 40s look. He has that, I'm Captain America. Homelander, I can see where you're going with that, but the thing is, he doesn't have a face of a nice person. Like, he naturally
his
doesn't. You
lips
watch
aren't his
Banshee?
He
fault.
does.
Banshee, he looks like a prick Homelander.
No, I've seen
Even
him
in
in other.
Banshee.
No, he's
No,
I watched Banshee
even
the
as
other day. He's got
Homelander,
an odd face.
he
the
and,
lips.
and that's what it is. He
It's the lips.
looks. He has the look
we all
of an
have full lips.
all-American.
We don't know what it's like to have.
Oh, all
full
American,
Yeah.
I'll give you that. Blonde
He
hair,
has
fair
that
skin.
all-American. He's just a good actor, so he can portray that evil,
Mhm.
sinister back behind him.
All right.
Do you think John Krasinski would have been a good? He was going to be the guy if it wasn't for him.
I can't say. I think he's a great actor, and I would probably have watched it, but I don't think he
He's
would
more
have
your
been.
boy next door instead of your boy next door that kicks ass.
Yes, I don't think
Yeah.
he could do that whole like.
But I am going to say
Yeah,
this,
no,
and I
no,
think we'll all
no.
agree: Michael J. Fox would have been a horrible Captain America, and Chris Evans would have been a horrible Marty McFly. So
All right.
we could agree with that.
A young,
All right.
And don't forget, Flea
a
from
young
Red Hot
Chris
Chili
Evans
Peppers.
could probably do Marty McFly.
You guys
not
pretty
even
much
gonna
did
lie.
your last statements and
Oh,
all the
real
things
quick,
that you said.
Back to the Future also helped Red Hot Chili Peppers' career because Flea was in there as Needles.
I don't
He's been
think,
in a lot of movies.
Yeah, I don't
actually.
think it helped
that
his
didn't help his
career.
career at all.
no.
Yeah,
They're
Well,
kind
they
of
he gave it in the extra scenes if
He's
you buy
not
the
a-
DVD.
he's not an actor.
I know, but it also helped when everyone was like, "Who's this guy?" and his name is just Flea. People like were, "Oh, that's
Uh-huh.
the guy Needles."
Are you talking about analytics? Go fuck yourself.
Yeah,
No,
That's-
that's what actually on the bonus footage of Back to the Future.
They
you
were
could
famous
look it up.
before that and
Mhm.
famous afterwards.
Yeah, exactly.
He was just
He
doing
wasn't that
something.
famous. in-
Anthony Kiedis
Oh no,
was
that's
in
right. He
movies
was in
too.
2. He was in '85 one. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
And he was also in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas a few years after that.
Mhm.
He was always the thing. They were always
He
the
was
thing.
in another movie after that. Anyway, you guys have already kind of said your last statements just because of all the things that you've said. So it's going to come down to me. Now that I've heard both of your stories, and I mean, this is like a big wow for me, but I mean, I'm kind of more excited to start watching Captain America now.
I can do this all day.
Are you gonna though?
I will. I'll probably just watch the first two because, like you said, I've already watched
Watch 2
Civil
and 3
War.
because the first one I don't think
I
you're
had to
gonna
watch
enjoy.
Civil War because of the last stupid shit we had to talk about. So I'll watch.
That was
I'll-
Infinity
I'll
War.
Watch,
That was
no,
Infinity War.
No,
You had to go
Civil
see
War.
it.
Civil War.
Civil War.
Yes.
I had to watch
Yes.
one time for another
Mhm.
topic we were talking about. But anyway,
The third one, yeah.
I have to watch the second one.
Mhm.
Basically, where you meet Bucky and
Mhm.
you meet his bad side.
Yes.
You know
Second
what I mean?
one's a good one to go with.
Yeah. Is it a good one?
It's the best one out of all three.
It's what
Is it really?
It's like a spy movie.
I would say
Oh,
it's
neat.
definitely the most popular one out of all of them. It's the first movie in the superhero genre that made everyone believe it doesn't have to just be a superhero movie. It's a complete political thriller with the government being infiltrated by an organization secretly,
well, and
and no
I'm
one
a
knew.
huge fan of
Mhm.
Mission Impossible.
Yes.
So I mean, it
Mhm.
kind of goes against the same lines. And Henry Cavill could have played a great fucking Captain America. By
No,
the way.
I know. Look wise, maybe, but his acting is so one dimensional, and he doesn't come
What?
off. He's a piece of shit actor. I'm sorry.
Wow.
He's not
I-
a great
I don't-
actor.
Joe's
He-
just really jelly.
I hated
I
him.
don't- I don't
hated
like-
him,
I
I
don't
hated him
like
in Mission
him.
Impossible.
And
Why do you guys not like Henry Cavill so much? He's like
He's the
kind
same.
of amazing.
He's the same guy. He just makes those faces,
all
and
right,
he has no
all right,
expression.
all right.
I don't know.
I will
You think
make
he's
he
you
might
guys-
be able to. He I would say he would play a good Captain America, but I don't think I would have to be indoctrinated
If
with
we were
him
doing
as
that
that
dark
character.
version of Captain America, like we're talking about, you know, like the
I think he should be blonde hair as
versions.
Captain America. All American boy.
This plays
Well-
right into what the Nazis want, Joe.
At least
Yeah,
Homelander could
right.
act.
Fucking A, you can.
His hair's totally dyed.
There's a bug
The
in
lips
my
wouldn't
hair.
look
There's a
right
bug in
now.
your hair. There's a bug in Sam's hair, and she's gonna die.
Why don't we just have Robert
That's why we have
Pattinson?
to end this now. I have to go. I
Did-
have to go wash my hair.
Did you hear Robert Pattinson's gonna be the next Captain America?
Oh my
Also,
God, there it
No.
is.
See, it's no longer in your hair.
Die.
Sam didn't step on the bug. She just scooted it away.
No, I didn't. I killed the fucker. It has more than 4 legs. It doesn't need to be here. It's not made by God.
Before we go, Amy, we did not forget about you. We've got a quote for you, but we must thank our Patreon subscribers, No Nonsense Trivia, Lee, and Mark. Thank you very much. If you guys like trivia, go take a listen. And Kamara, our number
Thank you,
one.
Kamara.
Thank you so
Woo!
much.
You the girl.
You are the girl. Joe, do we have something for Miss Amy?
Yes, we do. Miss Amy, we miss you, and I just want to let you know that I want you to pray this later. Father, thank you for coming and getting me when I was lost in sin, because you know you're living in Sin City over there. And even though there were consequences of my sin, you sent your son to take the punishment for me by the blood of Jesus. And I also follow this rule. Whenever I screw up, I take it out on my kid.
And then he spills blood.
He does. He's on blood thinners.
So, Amy, take it out on your kids.
Exactly. Have a kid just to beat it.
Have a kid just beat it.
Yeah.
That's what I had kids for.
Or your fur babies.
I know. I saw the marks on the back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys like this debate, let us know. Who do you think actually won?
Yeah, right? I mean,
Yeah.
my opinion doesn't mean shit. I'm Sam.
It means a lot to me, Sam.
God damn it. I know it really hurt you. Joe, I was
means a
hoping
lot.
you would come out with a little bit more chutzpah instead of the same shit I've already heard.
Well, that's all I got.
What do you mean?
You've heard me talk about this show
I could have
before.
literally made this sound like it was the best movie, and people were excited to see
Well,
it.
I try to be honest. I'm not going to say
I know
things
you
that
were.
I don't
No,
think.
you did. You did a great job. You
It was
actually
good. I'm gonna say
sufficed the
this.
movie very, very
Yes,
good.
yes.
I will say this.
Very good.
The soundtrack to that was way better than Captain America. The theme music and everything.
Captain America
no.
was very repetitive.
No,
and
no,
so
no,
was
no, no, no,
yours.
no, no.
It was
I've-
Huey Lewis in the fucking news,
Okay.
dude.
I'm talking about the actual. I'm
100%
talking about the
different.
actual soundtrack.
It
The
was
actual
songs.
Huey. Oh, you're talking
Her
about the
thing-
score.
No, both. The score. The score was way better. It's more like. Oh, it's gonna always be more iconic. It sound better. It was in
It's
the
because we all went on the ride at fucking Universal.
Yeah, even though
That-
I
that-
love the soundtrack.
and the
but
actual
no.
soundtrack was better too. It had Earth Angel on there. Had all the classics. Huey Lewis did a lot of songs.
It's-
Eric
it's-
Clapton did it.
I can't stand fucking Huey Lewis.
It's a great
Power Love
iconic
was good with that.
soundtrack because of the time.
Huey.
But
The only time I like Huey Lewis is when I'm watching American Psycho. That's it, because I know fucking Jared Leto's about to die.
the Captain America soundtracks, the first movie alone, fit more with the movie. Yeah. It's a great fanfare of a superhero. It's dare I say it, iconic. But we don't want to get into that. The debate is over.
Hey,
Captain
real quick, what
America.
actor do you think is gonna get Parkinson's next? I think Chris Evans.
Vincent D'Onofrio.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm totally adding him to the Deadpool.
All right, guys, where can we find you?
You can find me at Joserico 2.
Wait, what was I saying?
Hey, Dallas, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Pookness Monster.
And Joe, where can we find you? In an alley somewhere, getting
At
drunk?
Joseph Rico 2.
I can do this.
Just
all
look for
day.
that guy that's limping everywhere. Listen to Huey Lewis and the good news or whatever.
The good news.
What do they call it? Louis Lewis and Huey
Same
Lewis.
word as you.
You can find me visiting Joe at rehab.
No. Wait, also, I forgot, Sam, put your if there's